All right, welcome back. So you're probably keeping an eye on things happening here in Texas, and one topic that keeps coming up is, well, how safe people feel.
Yeah, it's definitely part of the conversation. And we've seen data, from the Texas Department of Public Safety showing how crime rates can kind of ebb and flow.
Exactly, they fluctuate,
Right.
and well, when that happens,
People start thinking more about security, right? Reliable security for homes, businesses, you name it.
that's it. And that's actually what we're digging into today. We're going to focus on one company, Reliable Security Plus, RSP.
Okay.
We've got this piece from Texas Today that gives a pretty good look at how they're operating. It seems like they're not just trying to meet the demand.
But it maybe push the standards up a bit for
Right.
the whole private security industry in Texas.
That's the angle, yeah.
Yeah.
So our mission today is to unpack what makes RSP tick, their philosophy, what they're aiming for.
It's interesting because security is so vital, but often kind of invisible.
Mhm.
Looking inside a company like this, well, it tells you a lot about the values behind how safety gets delivered.
Okay, so let's start where it all began. The founder, Jalil De La Torre, Houston native.
Right. And the article suggests his own experiences, like growing up right here in Houston really sparked the idea for the company.
Yeah, witnessing firsthand how security, or the lack of it, impacts neighborhoods, businesses.
It makes sense, seeing that day to day. Well, it can definitely shape how you think about things, turning personal observations into a bigger vision.
hmm And that vision seems to be a security company built on, well, trust, integrity, quality. That's what the article emphasizes.
Mhm.
And a focus on community well-being.
Trust and integrity. I mean, in security, that's everything, isn't it? You're handing over responsibility for safety. You have to trust them.
Completely. So RSP's mission, as stated, is pretty clear.
Yeah.
Premium security services, big focus on customer satisfaction.
That word premium stands out.
It does. Suggests they're aiming higher than just basic coverage from the get-go.
Right. Not just meeting the minimum. And pairing premium with customer satisfaction. It suggests they get that security isn't just guards, it's the whole feeling, peace of mind.
And the values they list seem to back that up. Professionalism, accountability, and quick response times.
Foundational pillars, really. Professionalism means standards. Accountability builds that trust we talked about. And quick response, well, that can make all the difference.
So these aren't just buzzwords for them, apparently. The article says these guide everything, even their growth plans.
They have to be more than words on a page. They need to be baked into the day-to-day operations.
Okay, so how do they actually do that? The article gets into this idea of building a culture of excellence. Seems like a big deal for them.
Yeah, and how they build it is interesting. They talk about a very selective hiring process.
More than just checking boxes.
Apparently.
Yeah.
Comprehensive background check, sure, but also really in-depth interviews. They're looking for something extra, it sounds like.
Exactly. The article uses the phrase a calling. Like, they want people who see security as more than just a paycheck.
Yeah.
People genuinely motivated to protect others.
That's a high bar. Finding people with that kind of intrinsic motivation.
How do you even screen for that and keep it going across the whole team?
Good question. It's probably not just the hiring, right? It's ongoing training, the company culture itself reinforcing those values, maybe how they recognize employees who really live it.
And speaking of training, they seem to invest heavily there too, partnering with local law enforcement, security experts.
That's smart. Things change fast in security. Threats evolve, tech evolves.
So this keeps their team up to date on best practices.
You'd assume so, yeah. Enhances their skills for client safety. It shows a real commitment to not just hiring well, but developing their people continuously.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Customer focus. The article really hammers this point. One size doesn't fit all.
Which is just common sense in security, really. What a family needs is totally different from a big corporate campus or like a music festival.
Right, so they apparently spend a lot of time up front understanding each client's specific situation, their unique challenges.
That detailed assessment is crucial. You can't just apply a template. You need to know the specific vulnerabilities, the real risks.
Whether it's a home, a business, a large event, they tailor the solution.
Exactly. That's where effective security strategy starts. Understanding the specifics.
And it's not just set it and forget it. They talk about keeping lines of communication open, using feedback, adapting as needs change.
That feedback loop is key. Needs aren't static. A good provider listens and evolves with the client. It builds that partnership feel the article mentions, based on trust, mutual respect.
Right, not just a transaction. Okay, now, the tech angle. You can't talk modern security without it. RSP uses cutting-edge technology, according to the piece.
And this integrated approach.
What does that actually look like? Combining human expertise with surveillance systems, mobile apps?
Well, it likely means using tech to make the human element more effective. Think smart cameras, maybe, using AI to flag weird activity.
Which then alerts an actual person to check it out.
Precisely. Or using mobile apps so clients can, say, view camera feeds in real time, get alerts on their phone, maybe arm or disarm systems remotely, that kind of thing.
The article does mention clients getting real-time oversight via mobile platforms. That seems like a big plus. Gives you a sense of control.
It's a huge plus. Transparency. You're not just relying on their reports, you can see for yourself. Peace of mind, but also verification if something happens.
And it's not just for the client, right? The RSP team uses tech, too.
Yeah, the article implies that. Advanced tools to support their field work. Could be better communication systems, digital reporting, maybe even tools to analyze security data. Makes them more efficient.
Makes sense. Okay, looking forward. They're not planning on just staying in Houston, are they? Expansion across Texas is mentioned.
Seems like the next logical step, yeah. If you've built a solid rep, you look to grow. Take that model to new markets in the state.
I like that quote from the founder, De La Torre. Something about building on a strong foundation, adding bricks daily towards the future.
Yeah, that quote really speaks volumes, doesn't it? It suggests careful, deliberate growth, not just expanding for expansion's sake, but making sure the quality stays high.
Which ties into another point the article stressed. Community involvement. That's an interesting angle for a security company.
It is, but it makes sense if you think broadly. Safer communities benefit everyone, not just the direct clients.
So they're getting involved in local safety initiatives, partnering with community groups.
That's what it says. Trying to enhance public safety beyond just their paid contracts. It's described as a grassroots approach.
So they want to be seen as more than just guards for hire, like a community partner.
Seems that way. Investing in the community builds goodwill, trust, and, well, it ultimately makes the areas they operate in safer, which is good for business too, indirectly.
So wrapping it all up, the main takeaway seems to be that RSP is genuinely trying to raise the bar for private security here in Texas.
Yeah, in an industry where trust is just paramount, they're positioning themselves as different, aiming for a higher standard through their specific methods.
And those methods seem to be that blend of things.
Yeah.
Really focusing on personnel quality.
A deep customer service ethic.
Using technology smartly.
And that community piece we just talked about.
It's a holistic approach, really. Recognizing security isn't just one thing.
Exactly. It needs good people, understanding clients, the right tools, and apparently a connection to the community.
And the article floats the idea that their influence could even spread beyond Texas eventually.
Well, if they succeed and really demonstrate a better model, others might take notice, sure. Success breeds imitation sometimes.
So ultimately, it's not just about providing security, but maybe, as the article puts it, reshaping how we think about protection and peace of mind.
That's a powerful statement. It highlights the bigger picture, contributing to a feeling of well-being, not just preventing incidents.
And for anyone listening who wants to check them out, the website is reliablesecurityplus.com. Definitely seems like a company to watch in Texas.
For sure. It'll be interesting to see how they navigate that growth while sticking to those principles they talk about.
So quick recap then. What are the absolute key things about RSP's approach that set them apart, potentially creating this higher standard?
I'd boil it down to, first, that rigorous hiring seeking commitment, not just qualifications. Second, the really personalized customer approach, no one size fits all. Third, the smart integration of tech. And fourth, that genuine community engagement piece.
Right. Which brings us to a final thought for everyone listening. As security needs keep changing, how important will technology versus, say, community involvement be for achieving real peace of mind down the road?
Yeah, it makes you think, doesn't it? About finding that right balance between the traditional presence, the human touch, and all these new tech solutions. What does real safety feel like in the future? Something to mull over.